Alright, welcome to Mr. Nelson's YouTube video. Alright, so what we have here is we've got fractions to decimals. It's what we learned today because our target for today was learn how to turn a fraction to a decimal. So if you look at this page, it should look very familiar to what we kind of put in our notes. We've got numerator or nerd over donkey. And that is the same as nerd is on the inside of the house and the donkey's on the outside, okay? Alright, and if you look, I put on the bottom nerd and donkey. Because really what those are numerator and denominator. But we like to make it a little nice and help you remember by putting nerd and donkey, numerator and denominator. Alright, let's do some examples so that you remember how to do this. So what we have here is we have 3/5. 3/5 is a fraction, and we need to change it to a decimal. Okay, so we want to find the decimal. So, well, I like to put my visual descriptors like N over D, so I remember what that 3 and what that 5 are. And then put the nerd inside the house and the donkey outside, so the numerator inside and the denominator outside. And so I can set up my division problem. So we put the numerator inside and the denominator outside because we put the nerd inside the house so he can play his video games, and the donkey outside the house because he is a smelly old donkey. And then we have to divide it out. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting some decimal points in and add a 0. Okay, because 5 cannot go into 30. Or into 3, but it can go into 30, right? 5 times what gives you 30? Well, 5 times 6. So 6 times 5 gives you exactly 30. And we subtract because division is just repeated subtraction. So we know we need to subtract. And 30 minus 30 is 0. So, am I done? Yes, I am. As long as at the very bottom you have a 0, you are done ski. Okay? So, our answer is 0.6 is my decimal. Alright, let's look at the next example. We have 1/8. Just like with the last one, I'm going to set up my visual representation nerd over donkey, because the nerd always rides the donkey. And then we're also going to do the nerd is always inside the house and the donkey's always outside of that division. Because remember that these right here are really just division. Okay? So we're going to set it up with our division. And we said that the nerd is that top number, or the numerator is that top number is 1, and the donkey or denominator is that 8. Alright, we know that 8 cannot go into 1, so we're going to put our decimal points. And we're going to add that 0 to the 1. Does 8 go into 10? Yes, it does. It goes 1 time. Alright, 8 times 1 gives you 8. So we put the 8 there. And we know division is repeated subtraction, so I'm going to subtract. So 10 minus 8 is 2. 10 minus 8 is 2. Am I done? No, we've got that 2 down there, so we need to put another 0 in and bring the 0 down to make it 20. So does 8 go into 20? Yes, it goes 2 times. So 2 times 8 is going to be that 16. We subtract 16 from 20. Well, if you want, you can carry that, make that a 1, make that a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. And 1 minus 1 is 0. Am I done? Oh, I've got another one to go, okay? Since that's a 4, I still have to keep going. So I bring down that 0. Does 8 go into 40? It goes 5 times. 5 times. 5 times 8 is exactly 40. And when I subtract that out, I end up with 0 as the bottom. And as long as we get 0 out, we are done with our division. The only other time if we continue to get the same exact number up here when we're dividing out, then it's a repeating decimal. Okay? The last two that we have done are what are called terminating decimals. And our very last question is this one as an example of how to change a fraction to a decimal. And remember, we do our nice descriptive in visual. And we do the other one where we've got the nerd on the inside and the donkey on the outside. And then we put it into a division problem. So our numerator is the 38. Our denominator is that 100. Okay. Does 100 go into 38? No, so we put our decimal. Alright. I'm going to change colors on me so you guys can see it. Alright, I'm going to change it. And we're going to add a 0. Alright, does 100 go into 380? It does. It goes 3 times. So we put 300. Alright, we subtract. We've got 80 left. Does 100 go into 80? No, but if I add a 0 and bring it down, now it's 800. 100 goes into 800 8 times. And 100 times 8 is 800. And then we got 0 left. So our answer ends up being 0.38 or 38 hundredths. Alright, if you don't know how to do it, after that, make sure you come to my tutoring. Alright? And just to be fun, let's do shout outs. Let's do a shout out for my first and second period. I most certainly appreciate Chad being in there today, helping out during class. That was very nice of him. In my fifth and sixth period class, a shout out to... Let's do a shout out to Elizabeth. Elizabeth was very attentive and did everything she needed to and came up to the front of the class, and she was a risk taker, and I appreciate that. And very last, I would like to shout out to, in my 7th and 8th period class, I want to shout out to Julian. Julian came up and he asked for me to do something, and he did not stop asking, and he was very vigilant to make sure that he did everything correctly, and I appreciate what he does in my class. Thank you very much. Hopefully this was informative and you are able to understand how to, from our target today, turn a fraction to a decimal.